today, buddy. That's nice, right? Yeah.
Welcome to the Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome inside the Lock Shop. Dusty with you. Hus going to be by here right away as well. Brought to you by great partners at Coolbet. Check out the lid. Very nice. Awesome. They sent us a bunch of new swag here for the Edmonton Sports Talk crew. Everybody's absolutely loving it. What the hell is this? Wait a second here. Did you send the email to the right guy? What's happening here? Hus, why the hell are you in a suit right now, dude?
All business going into week 13 of the NFL season. No, you know what? We had promised a suit show on Winnipeg Sports Talk for a little while. People were on us, and we said this week we were doing a Movember campaign, and our original goal was 2,000, and we got to about 3 in the middle of the week. We said, okay, if we get to 4, we'll do the suit show on Friday, and we ended up getting to 5,400.
Beautiful.
So there was no way out. There was no way out. As someone that had to wear one of these things on a daily basis for about 15 years of my life, even though it's a beautiful suit from F Apparel, check this out, Dusty. Look at that.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that is brilliant.
Inside. Shout out to my guys at F Apparel. But anyways, so yeah, and because it's a quick turnaround, I just pre-taped something. I was already in it. I said, you know what? We're all business going into the Lock Shop for week 13. Let's do this.
I thought, I love this big uke is in the nasty chat. It says, he just came from the Jets' funeral last night.
Hey, easy there, you. Easy.
That's pretty funny, actually. That's good. Anyway, great cause. You look sharp. Everything's looking good today.
Thank you.
And you're right. I mean, it's all business going in, especially. I mean, we'll bring in Jake. We'll get through some hockey. So we'll obviously get into the Oilers Jets stuff. Then we'll bring in Jake here to help us set up the rest of the week in the National Football League. You guys, the funerals for the Jets are just great. I mean, that's really funny. Those are just funny messages. You can text us anytime, 780-218-9999. I want to go back and see the clip later of the moment you popped up on the screen, because I think I was in mid-conversation and I was like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" So yeah, no, that was. Yeah,
I didn't give you any warning that might shock you.
No, it did.
Donnie boy, Remo is ironing his pants for 1 p.m. right now, getting it going on. Listen, we may as well get to it. That game felt like a playoff game last night.
It sure did, didn't it? It was played like a playoff game. I thought last night, man. That was something else.
Big time. And you know what was crazy? You didn't realize how impactful faceoffs can be in a game.
Oh, my goodness.
Until you win 71% of them, or on the other side, 29% of them. My God. I mean, you look at the amount of shots the Oilers had. A big part of that was the fact that they were basically starting with the puck all night long.
71% of the time, right? Like,
I mean, I'm sure even the most optimistic Oiler fans were feeling like it wasn't their night up until Darnell Nurse somehow scored that goal on Connor Hellebuck. I mean, Helly was so dialed in last night. It really felt like it was going to be one of those games where he just says, I'm the best player on the ice tonight, and they're winning the game. And I mean, that's one that'll go in maybe once a year, but what an impactful one it was. And then, man, you cannot take a penalty late against the Edmonton Oilers power play. Draisaitl, he might have the best one-timer I've ever seen. Like, Patrick Laine's right up there for sure. But the accuracy that Draisaitl can hit the net with at a speed from angles that most players will have a very tough time even getting it on net, never mind past a goalie. Anyways, that was a tough one. I mean, obviously it's a little easier for Winnipeg to take, considering that, they were 12-5-2, I think, coming into this week.
Yeah.
It's their first 3-game losing streak of the year. And,
but was last night kind of like what you were saying? Like, I thought the Jets, the Oilers had a bunch of shots last night, but I thought the Jets still played a pretty good hockey game. I mean, they were up 1-0 in the thing. It kind of sounded like how you described the other couple of games to me on this losing streak, right? Like, So it shouldn't be a panic 3-game losing streak, I guess is what I'm trying to get to here.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. And luckily for the Jets, I think they've got the Chicago Blackhawks coming into town at the perfect time. They'll be an ornery bunch tomorrow afternoon at Canada Life Center. And then they've got the Canes on Monday, which will be a challenge. Carolina always gives the Jets fits. And then out on the road. But you know what? Listen, it's all about getting points right now for the Edmonton Oilers, maybe more than any other team in the National Hockey League. But it is amazing how a narrative can change in a week. I mean, the Jets were tied for first place last weekend. Now, they're in a dogfight for that third spot with St. Louis. Nashville's played really well, though they got killed last night by the Minnesota Wild. And I mean, for the Oilers, who many people were saying were done, left for dead, you rattle off 4 or 5 wins in a row and you're right back in it. Although I think we all agree there's a lot more work for Edmonton to do to get to where they want to be. And that's in a wild card spot first. And then maybe, resuscitating their season to the point where they can start challenging that top tier of teams in the Pacific.
How surprised with you that game went the way that it did? I mean, now with that being said, Hellebuck was pretty brilliant along the way. The Oilers could have had a few more goals in that game. And Skinner played really well as well. I mean, both goalies were excellent last night, but I mean, the over would never had a chance. It never had a sniff last night. It was a tough one.
Yeah. Once the Jets got that first goal, I was interested to see how it played out from there, because I knew that, they would continue to do what they did quite well for most of the game. And that was, limit those big time high danger chances. Like Edmonton, I thought started really well. They had a number of pretty good shots early on, but at that point you knew that Helly was dialed in, and he really has been for the better part of the last 3 weeks or so, which made the Nurse goal that much more stunning to get in that way. But, I got to give Skinner a lot of credit. And you know what? The Oilers as well, defensively. I mean, that's not really something that is their calling card, shall we say. I mean, they're far more likely to win 5-4 than 2-1. But I think both teams sort of realized what the other ones were doing. The Jets were very focused on trying to eliminate any easy opportunities for Draisaitl and particularly Connor McDavid. And McDavid was awesome last night as he is. He seems to be back to prime 97 right now. So listen, it was one of those games where whoever lost was going to be feeling it afterwards. I think the way that it went down for the Jets, maybe a little bit more disappointing, but 1-1 on the season series, and they'll see each other again later on this year, and we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting as to where those teams are in the playoff picture by the time we get on the other side of the new year right now. But I'm sure the nasty chat, people breathing a little easier, and Tommy Gazzola having a little bit more fun on those post games than he was in the first month of the season.
Well, actually, I've done the last 3 post games because Tommy's doing his bow hunting show. So I've been on the post games, and actually it was a lot of fun. Last night's was pretty good. The night before, when they beat Vegas, everybody was still freaking out because they blew a 2-goal lead late in that game. So it was a good one too. But like the Oilers, here's why we were talking about this morning. Like if you don't view this as them being back, why not? And many people didn't have an answer, because what I like about this 4-game winning streak is they beat Washington, smoked them 5-0, tidy victory. Then they had the offense blow up 8-2 against the Ducks, so they beat them in a different way. Then they played a pretty good game against Vegas, let it slip away, but managed to get it back in the shootout, so they won that game in a different way. And then I thought last night they stuck with it. They didn't make any bad pinches or anything like that, and they won that game in a different way. So they won 4 games against 4 different teams, obviously, but in 4 different ways, which I think is important, because for the most part last year you'd see the Edmonton Oilers and they would just win games by scoring 5 or 6 goals. And that was it, right? This time, with that being said, I guess they have scored 5 prior to last night, but they won essentially a 2-1 game with the empty netter at the end of it. So
funny comment in the chat from Pat Maroon's bib.
Yeah.
You mean the Jets aren't trading Kyle Connor, firing their coach, and dropping Moose in the blender like we do in Edmonton? Hey, listen, if it started off the way that it did, probably there would have been that level of panic. But again, listen, the expectations for the Jets were a little different than what the expectations for the Oilers were going into the season. Listen, I have to ask you this. I mean, you're the best person to say, how much credit does the new coaching staff get in this? Or, I mean, I kind of feel it was almost inevitable that you'd start to get a hell of a lot more from that roster that we knew has all the talent in the world. Is Knobloch the toast of the town right now, or is it just a matter of, Jay took a bullet because they had to do something, and now the Oilers are playing the way everyone thought they could play at the start of the year?
Yeah, when they fired Woodcroft, I said, look, man, they're going to turn, like we asked the day, we're like, Knobloch's in a great spot because they can't be any worse. They're only going to get significantly better, whether he's an amazing coach or not, which is so it has kind of played out that way. With that being said, there's two aspects of it that I think have stood out for me since the coaching change. And, Manson out, elevated role for Stewart a bit, working with the penalty kill, Paul Coffey on the bench to work with the blue line. They are not giving up near as many odd man opportunities, odd man rushes against, which is big, and their penalty kill has been significantly better. So there's two elements there to the defensive side of the game that, as somebody asked last night in the postgame show, like, was that all just Dave Manson as the defensive coach, and maybe not so much Woodcroft? But I have seen a different team defensively since the coaching change, or at least during this good stretch. And I think some of that would have to do with the coach. I do think they would have turned it around and made the playoffs with Woodcroft anyway, but I have seen a pretty good improvement. So it's a good question, though. It's a good question. So hockey didn't go too great last night. Oh, Hush, you're muted. I think you muted yourself in a cough, which was good because I was still talking anyway.
Enough of that game last night. Let's focus on what really mattered, and that was an absolute clean sweep of that NFL game last night between Seattle and Dallas. Seattle covers, the over hits easily, and another primetime lock shop partner parlay to finish off the month of November, which, what did Patty say yesterday? If you put $10 on every lock shop partner parlay in the month of November, you would have been up $208.
Yeah, you would have up $208. Yeah.
Add another 50 or 60 to that total from last night. And that could not have gone any better for us. And I thought we might be screwed at the end if Dallas could have got that first down, but no, they didn't. They stupidly passed on third down to, Seattle had no timeouts at that point. Like, I don't know what they were doing. They gave them the extra 45 seconds. Didn't matter, though. Dallas gets the win. Seattle gets the cover, the over. And most importantly, we got another completion from Geno Smith to cash another partner parlay.
I'm doing the post game and I'm trying to follow along, and you guys are texting. And I think at one point I saw, "Oh my God, we're done!" And I was like, "What the hell? He's at 21. What's going on right now?" And then when I saw that clock stop, I was just like, "Okay, he's getting the ball back." And 100% they're going to be passing as much as they possibly can, and we hit it, which was nice because we've been on an all-time parlay run in the National Football League right now. And last night's game was so offensive. I mean, we had the over. We had the Seahawks plus the points. We hit the parlay. That was great. And I was even angry at myself because, we never go beyond 3-player props. But I loved CeeDee Lamb touchdown yesterday, and I loved Charbonnet touchdown yesterday as well. And everybody was just getting touchdowns yesterday. It was amazing. So it was just one of those nights. And you know what? We were due for one of those nights on the primetime game. Were we not, Huss? Like, NFL fans had put in enough to finally get the game we got last night.
Yeah, listen, everyone, and again, I was at the hockey game, so I was watching it on the screen in the bar at the intermissions, but really, and then ripped over afterwards and caught that last sort of 5 minutes where it all happened. But yes, that was payback for the Bears-Vikings Monday nighter.
Yeah,
for fans. So. We don't have to worry about the Bears or the Vikings this week, but it is nuts. And you'll notice this for all of you that are in like a precarious fantasy situation.
Yeah.
We got 6 teams on the bye this week. So a few less games to pick, but we will get into it in a little bit. And by the way, did you hear that the NFL has flexed the Chiefs Patriots out of Monday night?
Out of a Monday nighter. I saw that. The first ever Monday night flex. Who'd they flex in? It was, is it Eagles?
I want to say
it was Eagles.
Reba sent this.
Who was it?
Think about
it wasn't to me. It wasn't like an incredible Eagles Seahawks. That's right. Okay, that should be a good game. That'll be good. That should be a better game than the Chiefs Patriots. But that's how bad the Patriots are that you flex Patrick Mahomes out of a Monday nighter.
And not to mention Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
And all that he
and
brings
the spotlight.
to the table
good
in a
point.
prime game. I mean, that might be the most embarrassing thing to happen to the New England Patriots in the last 25 years. I mean,
that'll be the final straw for the hoodie. Hey, you know what? You know things were bad. We had to pull the trigger when they flexed us out of a Monday nighter against Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. That's a tough one. Richard Croft says, hey, March 26th, Winnipeg gets to host the Oilers for the third and final time. Maybe a nasty trip, just putting it out there. Any interest?
Oh, my God.
I like that.
That would be awesome. We got to hook up with WestJet or something like that, do a little combo sponsorship. And get.
Well, we had a meeting with the Edmonton Airport yesterday. And we might have some stuff coming down the pipeline here. So it was an exciting meeting yesterday. So who knows? We'll see. Maybe we'll be able to get some trips booked to a few different places. Congratulations to DK Metcalf fantasy owners on winning your week. I mean, that's got to be locked in right now. And I'm a CeeDee Lamb guy. I got CeeDee Lamb in a bunch of leagues. And that was a great night. CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott have been on an all-time second-half tear in fantasy. And if you have those two guys stacked, you're probably winning your league this year, Hus.
Yeah, well, I went up against those two last week, and they combined for 50 points. And I had DK on the bench this week. So
what? Whoa! We can't move on yet. Who'd you start? Was that in our league with JT?
No,
different one.
I'm not sure if I have him on that one.
Who did you start ahead of DK Metcalf in all those spots?
I started. Amon, no, that's the other.
That's
league.
The other league. You got him on in our other league. Yeah.
AJ Brown, and Cortland Sutton.
Ooh.
I just like DK has sort of been.
Yeah, he hasn't been amazing. Like he's been hit or miss.
I wasn't sure. I mean, listen, I was just giving the Dallas defense maybe a little too much respect that he would be there. I also have DJ Moore on that team, who I normally play, but man, 3 touchdowns. 134 yards. That was tough to take. Although I am in a good spot in that. Are you going to make the playoffs in Jamie's league?
I think it kind of comes down to this week. We had him on yesterday, and we were talking about the league a little bit. Right now, I think I'm 5-7 heading into this week. I need a win this week. Let's just say that.
You need 2 wins this week. You got to get in at 7-7. So you got to win these next 2 weeks and hope that Peterson and Drew lose at some point. Big Red is chilling. We have already locked up a playoff spot at 8-4, and first place is still in the mix. So we'll see.
The guy I'm playing this week had Dak, and he had Ferguson, who had 77 yards and a bloody touchdown as well. And he had Aubrey, who had 15 points. So he's already got a 73% chance to win. So his team name is the NASDAQ is up. So he's a big Dak Prescott guy. So that sucks. Anyway.
Well, that's the guy you're chasing.
Yeah,
so
that's
you
the guy.
Got to have a big game.
Yeah. That's a tough one. You got to have a big.
Hey, just before we get to NFL, we've only got 2 games in the NHL tonight.
Yeah.
Very, very quiet night.
Really quiet night.
And I'm sitting there trying to figure out what I'm going to do for a daily pick for Coolbet.
We went college football tonight. Washington, Oregon. That's where we went today.
Championship?
Yeah, it's a championship, 12-0 versus 11-1. The Ducks are 10-point favorites as the 5th ranked team in the country. So we went there tonight because it's a late night tonight. I mean, luckily this is our NFL episode every week anyway, so we got tons of NFL to get to. But
ugly games. Ottawa at Columbus and Sharks at the Devils.
And the Devils puck line set at 2.5.
Yeah, well, you know where I'm going on that? I think this is going to be the play of the day, the over in that game. Over 6.5 in Jersey, San Jose. San Jose's quietly actually won 4 of their last 10 games. And New Jersey, now that Jack Hughes is back, they're getting some of their players back. They're starting to feel it again. They had that big comeback win earlier this week against the Islanders. I think they continue to light it up. So I will be jumping on the over 6.5 at -116 in that Sharks Devils game. And maybe put that with the Sens money line. Ottawa has to have that game right now. I mean, if they lose to Columbus, and Columbus will be pissed off because they just lost at home to Montreal earlier this week after winning 3 of 4, including a win over Boston. That should be a very desperate Ottawa team tonight. But I think my favorite play, if we're looking at the NHL, is going to be the over 6.5 in that Sharks Devils game.
All right, so that's a quiet night in the NHL, but that's a picture there from Hus, who I do like seeing people. Mark slides in and goes, a suit? I like people still just hopping in and being like, am I on the wrong show? They're like refreshing it, trying to figure out what's going on. All right, let's bring in Jake Moss joining us from CoolBet today. We're going to kind of set up the weekend in the NFL, put together a little partner parlay for you as well, get through all of our best bets. What's your favorite play of the week in the NFL? You can hit us up in the nasty chat right now, or, of course, you can text us 780-218-9999. Jake, I haven't seen Jake yet. Is Jake wearing a suit as well? No suit, Jake. What the heck, man?
Should have brought my suit jacket. I didn't know Hus was going to be looking so dapper.
Yeah, you do got a nice hat on, though. These things are sweet. I like them. The white one's straight fire, too, buddy. Yeah.
I know Hus is probably dying for his gear, so I'm going to try to get that out to him next week. I got to get some shipping supplies here. But
beauty.
Hey, how'd the Thursday nighter go for the book last night?
I don't know the numbers on it. Usually when an over hits, usually not a good thing, but the primetime unders have been hot. So you wonder what the public.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The public side was.
That would have been a tough game to bet the under on, though, man. That would have been really tough. I couldn't have done it. I could not have done it on the under.
It's probably good. I imagine it was probably good that Seattle covered. Seattle win probably would have done wonders for things. I know, a lot of people throw that Dallas money line, I imagine, a lot of parlays. And that could have went a lot differently if we saw Seattle win. But, yeah, I mean, obviously, the problem is when you have those big scoring games is that every touchdown scorer is cashing. I mean, Ferguson cashed, CeeDee Lamb, DK Metcalf, like you name it. If you're on one of the bigger names, I think Pollard scored too. And I don't know. There's so many points in that game. I can't even remember how it went. It was kind of just a blur there. So, yeah, those can be tough. But at the same time, I mean, you guys cashed a big parlay, so that never helps the book. But I know it's fun for the fans. And, I think us three cashed last week too, right? So we'll see if we can keep
the whole month of November. I mean,
it's a great
Patty
month.
Patty came on yesterday and said that if you would just put a 10 spot on every Lock Shop partner parlay in November, you would have been up $208. So by my math, that's like up 20.8 units, and then did it again last night with the prime time to finish off. So hopefully we can keep it rolling into December, but that was an all-time month for the Lock Shop since we started doing this.
Yeah, I don't remember a month that well. And we've really been pushing these exclusives. So obviously like big time numbers on those. And we actually, in terms of tickets, we actually hit last month was our all-time high for exclusive in terms of tickets. This month we're even higher. So, I mean, it's a lot of thanks to you guys, Winnipeg Sports Talk, Edmonton Sports Talk, Lock Shop. Like tickets are rolling in, people want to be on them. And obviously they profited last month. So, it kind of evens out, but I'm sure people are pretty happy coming into Christmas. They got a little bit extra money in their pockets for those Christmas gifts.
Stay cool. Bet responsibly with CoolBet. But if you're not yet signed up for an account, use the code LOCKSHOP when you do, and you nice get a little deposit there to sign up. All right, boys. Well, we got an interesting weekend in the National Football League. As you mentioned, there's a bunch of teams on a bye, so maybe not the full slate that we're usually looking at here. But Jake, let's start with you, man. What are a couple of games that pop off the page for you? And then Hus and I'll dive into our best bets here as well.
Yeah, listen, I'm not in love with the board. There's a lot of ugly games out there. One that did catch my eye, though, Titans, +1, I think they are right now. I'd probably play the money line myself. I'm in on Tennessee. I think Indy's rolling here. They didn't lose in November. You think they'd be maybe a touch bigger favorite with Tennessee not playing great football as of late, but, we're coming into that Derrick Henry season, week 13. I know you could say, the Titans don't have a ton to play for, but it's a divisional matchup at the end of the day in Tennessee. Indy already got them once earlier in the season. So Titans money line is one I'm looking at. And Derrick Henry, another stat there, 6 of his last 8, he's gone over 100 yards against the Indianapolis Colts. So might be something to keep an eye on if you're looking at some Derrick Henry props this weekend. So that's one of the ones I I thought was a little fishy, maybe not as fishy as some of the ones I've smelt out earlier, but Titans money line I think is one for me that I like. Do you want me to go another one? I got one more,
Lay out
and then
another one
I'll
for
let
us.
you guys
Yeah,
get
give us
into
another
it.
one here.
Yeah. So another team that is a favorite at home against a team coming off a 5-game win streak. I got the Houston Texans -3. I'm already seeing some early public money on Denver.
Because that was at 3.5, wasn't it? Wasn't Denver 3.5
Yeah.
earlier in the week? That's moved, yeah.
Was it 3.5? Yeah,
It was
I
3.5,
couldn't remember, but down to 3. And like I said, John Ewing, great follow on Twitter, on X. He's always posting the public bets early, posting right up to Sunday. He's saying that at least at MGM, there's public money coming in on Denver. So I'm looking at Houston here. I mean, I know they're a favorite. I know it's tough with Denver having picked up some pretty big wins. I mean, they beat Green Bay, who's whatever. They beat Kansas City. They beat Cleveland last week. They beat Buffalo on this little 5-game run they've had. But I don't know. It's weird to me because the Texans are banged up too. Tank Dell's hurt. Dalton Schultz hurt. Like, you think this should be Denver not only spread but money line. But I don't know. Something about it just tells me Houston. I've been big on Houston as of late. They were in that game last week against Jacksonville. Didn't quite pull it off. So that's another one that I'm leaning on. And I'm excited to hear what you guys have because there's some ugly games out there.
Well, you know what? I mean, we can get into that Denver-Houston game right now. I actually like Denver at +3.5. Like, I just see this game as I think it's going to be close. I mean, like the old days of the pro line tie, the 3-point game either way. I kind of think that is where this one is going to end up. So I didn't mind it. And if you do want to take the hook and get +3.5, you can still get it, but it's now +125 as opposed to it was about -110 a little earlier than this week. You guys know me. I love Houston, and I'd love to see them win this game. Love to see. I mean, unfortunately, with no Joe Burrow, I don't think we can hope that the Jags lose to the Bengals. They're 8.5-point favorites and probably run away with that game. It does concern me, though, from a Houston perspective, that Tank Dell is going to be out of this game. He is kind of turned into such a go-to guy. Now, Nico Collins is back, and he was that guy for
He was that guy
at
before at the beginning of the year, yep.
But I mean, what Peyton's done with the Broncos, this is a really tough game. And put it this way, the 3 for Houston, if they win, I wouldn't be surprised if this game ends up as a push. So I really don't have a strong lean on either side. But it is important to note that no Tank Dell, who's become a real go-to guy. By the way, Jake, just before you came on, we were mentioning the Patriots. Possibly the most embarrassing thing to happen to that franchise in 25 years, getting flexed out of Monday Night Football against Mahomes, Kelsey, and the Chiefs. Like, you have to be so bad to take the Chiefs out of primetime on Monday Night Football, but that is the case. And I guess, is it Bailey Zappi time for the game on the weekend?
Yeah, it sounds like it is Bailey Zappi time. I mean, the whole season's been quite the embarrassment. I mean, you look at that first game of the season, they play the Eagles, and they actually were on a game-winning drive, finishes with, a guy not getting his feet down, both feet down in bounds. And then, you're thinking, you're like, okay, maybe this team's got a little bit of friskiness to them. They might not be even a playoff team, but, maybe they're in the mix late in the season in the hunt. Obviously, it's just been absolutely downhill since then. 1-score game to Miami, and then you take some terrible losses. I'm in the lose now. Like, I'm in the lose train now. That Giants loss was huge last weekend. I think right now they get the 3rd overall pick. I'm rooting for picks now. I think Mac Jones is done here. Obviously, with Zappi starting this weekend, they finally made the move. But you think of the last 4 weeks with this team, and all it's been is, okay, who's going to start? Who's going to start? Well, we won't disclose it. We won't disclose it. That's got to be frustrating in the locker room. You're sitting there and you're like, we don't know who's starting quarterback on Sunday. We're leading up. When do you find out? Saturday? Do you find out Friday at the walkthrough? Like, I don't know. It's a bit of a mess. And I know you guys are talking about maybe it's end of Bill's run here with getting flexed out of prime time. And, eventually you do have to move on, but we'll have to see what happens with the draft and where they end up and what direction they plan on going forward.
Well, I think it's pretty clear what the mission is right now. It's lose and get one of those top couple picks in the draft and get a a franchise quarterback to come in and start a new era of Patriot football. And I guess the big question is whether Bill Belichick is going to be one of those players. Dusty, I think Jake's got some connection problems. I'm sure we'll get him back in right away. But just before we run through our picks, let me fire out the latest lines for everybody with following along at home. So Texans 3 or -3 at home against Denver. The Chargers, speaking of the Patriots, the Chargers are 5.5-point road favorites in New England. That tells you all you need to know about where New England's at, considering what we've seen from the Chargers. The Lions are laying 4 in New Orleans against the Saints. Atlanta's a 2-point road favorite in New York against the Jets. Pittsburgh is laying 5.5 at home against Arizona. Indy's a 1-point road favorite in Tennessee. The Dolphins are 9.5-point road favorites against Sam Howell and the Commanders. The Bucks 5-point home favorites against Carolina. The Cleveland Browns, with the elite Joe Flacco at the helm, 3.5-point underdogs against the Rams. The Niners are now 3-point favorites in Philly, which is incredible. And that's -109 on either side right now. Like, the line has legitimately moved to 3 from 2.5. Chiefs are 6-point favorites in Green Bay. And then we'll do the Monday Nighter on Monday. But Bengals, no Joe Burrow, 8.5-point dogs against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still amazed. And let's just get into this a little bit, even if it's not our pick. Dusty, where are you at on this Philly-San Francisco game that is now 3 points for the road team?
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning of the week, I was like, wow, like the 10-1 Eagles at home as dogs. But I've been listening to some podcasts throughout the week, and people are making pretty significant cases for the 49ers here. And, I was going to stay away from it, but I really don't like a lot else on the board this week. I had a hard time coming up with my 4 best bets this week. So I think the Niners are actually going to be on it. I mean, the bottom line is when they went through their slump, they were missing people. Purdy was banged up. When fully healthy, this team is probably the best team in the National Football League, which is where this line is at right now. Jake, do you have the senses tingling at all on this Philly Niners game as far as a line being fishy one way or the other here?
Yeah, well, listen, I've had my sense, and sorry I cut out there, guys. I know you.
No, you came back nicely though. It was good. And I was gonna say the picture that froze on you wasn't bad. Like, sometimes people get frozen, and you're like, it was good. Yeah.
Sometimes it's tough. Yeah. No, it is a little fishy, right? Because they're in Philly as 3-point underdogs, and really all this team's done is just come out and cover. They think they were dogs against KC. They went outright. Even last week, I had the Bills because I thought that was a bit fishy. And sure enough, I think they ended up pushing that one a 3-point spread. So, yeah, I mean, you look at it, and your immediate thought is, well, let's take Philly because they're the 10-1 team. They're at home, and you're getting 3 points on them. But, that initial instinct isn't always the case. I think I would also be on the Niners in this scenario. But it's just hard to argue with the fact that no matter what, Philly has found a way, whether it's pretty or whether it's ugly, to not only cover but win these football games. So it's a tough one for me. I don't love either side. I'm sure I'll have a bet on it, but I don't know. I probably won't know until it'll be a game time decision on that one if I had to guess.
Yeah, I'm fully in on the Niners in this game.
Is that one of your best bets, Hus?
Well, I've got some other ones.
Okay.
I mean, I might include it. To be honest, I think if we want to put it in our partner parlay, I think we lay it at 2.5.
2.5.
And the 2.5 is at -123. So it's not too bad. I think it's worth it. And as I said, that's kind of helped us because this could be close. But I'm fully here for the Niners, making a big, big statement in this game. And I just hope In fact, you know what I hope? I hope they beat the hell out of them, and then we have a nice close up on Nick Sirianni's face for the entire second half, and then walking off afterwards. That's my personal hope right now. Sorry to any Eagles fans in the chat. Dusty, you want to lead off here, or what are you cooking up?
Well, I mean, there's a few here that I like. It sounds. I stayed away from the Lions game this week. We talked about it earlier in the week. I think they're going to win that game, but the 4 number concerns me a little bit. Yet my first bet of the week is going to be the Chargers. I'm actually getting on the Chargers here, 5.5. I know it sounds crazy, but they got to have it, and they got to have it in impressive fashion, man. They simply do. From a personnel perspective, they are such a better football team than the New England Patriots that you have to go out and actually finally do something of positive significance at some point in your season. And I think New England can't score points. It's as simple as that. Whatever, in all their losses, what's the most they've got? 17 3 times, and that's it. They scored double digits a bunch of times. They've had more than 17 points once the entire season. I think the Chargers kind of win this game low 20s to like 10. So I'm going to get on the Chargers here at minus 5.5, which, I mean, I'm not sure how much I've dabbled with the Chargers all season, to be honest with you. I've kind of stayed away with them from the most part, but I think this might be a time to get on them. 5.5 is not the best number, but I'm going to get on the Chargers here, minus 5.5 on the road against the New England Patriots. That'll be my first best bet of the weekend. Where else are you going?
That game. I could not cross that game off fast enough.
I'm getting on it. The Patriots are awful, man.
Well, you know what? You're okay. I'm going to go on the game that you are not going on. I'm taking Detroit.
Whoa.
I'm taking Detroit. I think that they are going to come back and look a lot more like the team in the first half as opposed to the team that really struggled over the last bit. They've got the extra long week after playing on Thanksgiving. And here's the other thing. I don't even know who's going to be suiting up for the Saints because everybody is hurt. Thomas is out. Olave's in concussion protocol. Rashid's out. Carr's been banged up. They've got a couple key guys on defense that are out right now. I mean, to me, I think that Dan Campbell's going to have his guys revved up, ready to go. Hopefully, I mean, he needs to be better. He's made some terrible decisions over the course of the last kind of 2 to 3 weeks, and he's sort of owned it right now. But I think the combination of Detroit being better than we've seen the last couple of weeks and the New Orleans Saints being absolutely devastated, I'm going to take the Lions in that game. And here's another game, and this is weird. I don't think this is probably going to be on many people's cards. I'm taking the Cardinals.
It's on my card too. I love the fact when you said that, I was like, oh, I wonder if he's going to the Cardinals. Because we've been big Steelers, but we said it earlier in the week. 5.5 is not a number that we get on when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
No, definitely not. And I think Arizona is listen, the Steelers are going to win this game, but I think this will look like a lot of their other games this year where it's sort of close. It's sort of plotting. They're just trying not to make mistakes, forcing Kyler Murray to beat you. And listen, Murray's good enough that he'll make a few plays in the game, put a few points up. I just think that this is going to be one of these games that a lot of people assume that Pittsburgh with their record rolls on them, but they don't blow anybody out. So I'm taking the 5.5 with Arizona. Would have loved to have seen it get to 6, but I think the fact that it has just stayed where it has all week shows you that the books don't want to add much more on the card side of the lines, even though I think Pittsburgh's a big public team. We know how popular the Steelers are, and I think the Steeler fans are pretty fired up. But I do think this will kind of be a 3-4 point game in Pittsburgh's favor. So I actually like the Cardinals plus 5.5, Dusty.
I'm going to make it I'm with you on the Cardinals. They were one of my 4 best bets here. So I got the Cardinals. I got the Chargers. I'm going to stay in L.A., and I'm going to get on the Rams here, minus 3.5 against the Cleveland Browns. The Rams have won 2 in a row. The Browns are banged up. Garrett's going to play, but he's going to be playing through, significant pain in this football game. So yeah, it's 3. I don't necessarily love the 3.5, but you saw what happened with Cleveland against Denver. You mentioned it, Hus. Joe Flacco comes out of nowhere. And it would be a very much like Joe Flacco has pretty much pissed me off with every team he's ever been on. So this would very much be a Joe Flacco spot to completely screw me over here. But I'm going to throw the Rams on here with the Chargers, and I'm going to take the Rams at -3.5 for my third best bet of the week.
I'm going head-to-head with you. I'm taking Cleveland.
You're going to go back to Cleveland, eh?
Hey, and not just because I'm a Joe Flacco guy who, let's not forget, did go 11 touchdowns, no picks, and maybe the greatest playoff run ever in playoff history. Here's the thing about Cleveland and the Rams. The Cleveland allows the fewest passing yards in the NFL. That's the bread and butter of the Rams team. And I actually think that Joe Flacco coming in is going to be like, listen, is he going to run around like Patrick Mahomes? Hell no. But will he be competent enough to get the football in simple spots to move the chains and, give them a little bit of pop to that offense? I actually think that they will. So, I mean, if you were asking me to bet the money line on this, I think I still give the Rams the benefit of the doubt. But, man, I think Cleveland is completely going to be in this game. And the fact that we're getting the extra half point here, I'm taking Cleveland. And, I mean, this team is in the playoffs right now. A win for Cleveland would just about get them to a point where they're going to be in. And wouldn't that be hilarious if we're talking about Joe Flacco starting a playoff game in a few weeks? It's totally on the table right now. So I did have a Ram money line. I did have the Rams on a money line on a ticket that I did last night. But the more I think about it, I think this game is going to be really tight. So I'm going to take the points with the Cleveland Browns. We can cross that game.
That's going off the parlay. What's your fourth best bet?
Well, I do like the Niners, but I think because it's at 3, I'll keep it off of the best bets. You know what? I'm actually going to take the Jets. Jets +2 at home. I think they win this game.
I love it.
I do not have a lot of faith in the Falcons. And to be honest, my prediction, maybe I'll do a 3-gamer money line pick on this. I think that the Saints lose. I think the Falcons lose. I think the Bucks beat Carolina. And we're going to have a 3-way tie for first place in that god-awful division at 5-7.
For a playoff spot. That just sums up that division perfectly, man.
Exactly. So, yeah. So, I'm on the Jets +2. I think they win the game. I'll also be taking the money line.
My fourth best one, and this one, I mean, probably doesn't make it onto the parlay. Because I know, Jake, you like Houston here, but I am going to get on Denver +3. Their defense is interesting. I was doing some reading on the defense today, and it said, a lot of what has led to the success of the defense has been big play turnovers. And when there hasn't been big play turnovers, teams have still been able to drive on them, and their defense doesn't look as good as it is if you eliminate the big significant turnovers, which I think it's kind of a ridiculous statement to make. They've been on such a roll. They beat so many good teams to get them at a field goal here. I think I got to kind of ride the wave with what Denver's been able to do so far. And like you, Hus, I mean, I got CJ Stroud, a bunch of fantasy leagues. I love that guy. I like the Houston Texans. I want Houston to win this game, but Denver, with the way they've been playing right now, getting a field goal in this spot, with a defense that can be dynamic at times against a quarterback who's been excellent as a rookie, but I think could still be prone to the odd rookie mistake. I think I'm going to get on Denver here +3 to wrap up my 4 best bets of the week. So I'm on the Chargers -5.5. I'm on Denver +3. I'm on Arizona +5.5. And I'm going to ride with the Rams here at 3.5 at home. Who were your 2 again, Jake? Let's try to put this together. You had Houston
Texans and
what's
Titans, which is
Titans.
Ugly too.
No.
India,
I thought
Houston.
I thought about the Titans too. Hus, where do we go for this 3-gamer, buddy?
Listen, I also had Jets. I just put New York Jets +2 ? On my sheet. I thought that was an interesting one. Atlanta off a big divisional win. You think they'd be getting a bit more, especially against a Jets team. I've watched them the last 2 weeks. It's been ugly. They had a primetime game last week on Friday, but a little bit extra rest. I assume it's going to be Boyle again. Have they said, Hus? Do you know?
Yeah, I believe so.
And
He's
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's the juice of the Aaron Rodgers news. He's back at practice. Maybe this is one they get up for. I'm not really sold on the Falcons either. So that was another one I had on my card. I did have a few more things though on top of your guys' stuff. Lions 5-0 against the spread, off a loss in their last 5. So that's good for Hus's play there in the Lions. Also, this is something I want to touch on. I know it's usually just a spread show. My buddy sent this last week. This is since 2019, totals of less than 37 are hitting under at 82%. So something to keep in mind for the people. There's a 33.5 on the board right now in the Jets Falcons, which you just gotta hold your nose. And then also Panthers Bucks 36.5. If you're looking at numbers like that. So yeah, that's totals of less than 37 are hitting at an 82% clip on the under.
Wow. And isn't the under 12-1 on Monday Night Football?
I think Monday Night Football, they almost hit every week. Was it last week that I can't remember who played last week?
Oh, it was an under.
The Vikings.
That was arguably the worst game of all time.
Yeah, that was an under. Yeah.
That was definitely an under.
Yeah,
that one would have been under even lower. So, all right. So for the parlay here, Huss, what are we thinking? What are we looking at?
Well, listen, let's throw. I know it wasn't in our picks, but let's put the Niners minus 2.5.
Yep, I had that one circled right here. So okay, so San Fran minus 2.5.
We can start there. What about as I say, I love Detroit in this game. Jake just had that spot.
I will not be opposed to Detroit. I'm just a little scared as a fan, probably. You made a really good case about the Saints being so significantly banged up. You tie that in with what Jake just said about the Lions' ability to bounce back here. We'd have to move it, so we'd probably move it down to 3.5, Us, I would think, right? Because it sits at 4. So
it's 3.5. Yeah. It's 3.5 at minus 119.
Yeah. I like that a lot, so I would totally be on board with that hopping on here.
We didn't have a lot of other consensus. I guess we do. We are both on the Cardinals, so we could just basically throw the Cardinals on there at plus 5.5. I mean, I guess the other thing now, this Jake's on the other side here, but I would be in for Denver plus 3.5.
Yeah.
Like, as I say, I think this is going to be a 3-point game one way or the other. Like I do think that the Broncos hang in this game, and I don't see the Texans kind of running away with it. And that was one of your 4 picks, right?
Yeah. I had them plus 3, so I'd be fine 3.5. Jake, you did bring up Houston there. Did you say anything about the 3.5 to the 3? Or I'm just trying to think. That might have been Huss. That might have been Huss.
It'll be close.
Yeah,
I do think it'll be close. To me, this was more of like. The line didn't make a lot of sense to me, especially with how hot Denver's been. You know? 5 in a row, and they come into Houston. Houston coming off a loss. They're banged up. It should be Denver all day. So I can absolutely get on board with the 3.5. We could end up seeing it being a Texans last minute field goal after they
something along those lines, right?
Last week,
and
still get inside the number. So. Yeah, I can get on board with that. No problem. It wasn't one that I was really sold on. I didn't love the board really at all.
Yeah, me neither. This board is, I really just want to move past this week. You know what I mean? Like
it's tricky for sure. So listen, if we take the Niners to minus 2.5, if we take the Lions to minus 3.5, and Broncos plus 3.5, in like on the site, it is 5-1, like plus 501. So we're probably looking at around plus 550 or so, but that's been in the real sweet spot for us over this past month, Dusty. Kind of taking the extra half point on a couple games, getting it in and around 5, and then obviously the fellas at Coolbet giving us a little bit of a boost as well to make it a better number and kind of compensating for the half points that we got.
No, I like this. I like this a lot. I think we lost Jake entirely. But that's all right. We were going to wrap up anyway. He knows the number that we were on. So, Huss, what's coming up on Winnipeg Sports Talk today, buddy?
Well, we'll kind of dive into last night's game and get ready for Connor Bedard's debut at Canada Life Centre tomorrow. Dan Robertson, voice of the Jets on TSN, is going to jump by. Ken Weeb as well from practice. And our weekly NFL notebook with the one and only Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Friday marbles, and then the weekend. So it should be fun.
The suit show.
Gang, if you haven't checked out our show, when the fellas are done on Edmonton Sports Talk, head on over. And we'll be going till I guess 2:15 Edmonton time. And throw us a sub while you're at it. And obviously, if you haven't already, hit that sub for Edmonton Sports Talk because the guys keep growing up. Hey, by the way, congrats on the beer launch.
Oh, buddy.
They're making...
It's right here. We sold 554 packs yesterday, which was enough in the first day to confirm a second run of it. So we're already brewing more to hope to have out by Christmas. There's talk of like just making it permanent as opposed to like just something they do and it'll just be a regular Alley Cat beer. And there's already talk about like what's the next one. And it's been one day. So yeah, it's gone over pretty well, my man. And I will say, dude, I've got like, as we were doing the show, there's been people texting in being like, Dusty, I picked up the beer. It's bloody delicious. Like it's just a smooth, crisp lager. It's just, I want it to be plus 25 out today so I can crush these on a patio somewhere, man. Like it's unbelievable.
Oh, you're going to have to crush them indoors somewhere.
That's right.
But, anyway, shout out to that. We'll enjoy a few on Sunday, and hopefully we can make this happen again. Again, partner parlay, Niners minus 2.5, Lions minus 3.5, Broncos plus 3.5. It's at plus 501, so we'll see what the guys get it up to. And I'm sure that'll be in the exclusives a little later on today.
Excellent, buddy. You have a good suit show. I'm sure you'll be wearing a suit forever moving forward after today.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Hey, Tommy Gazzola just told me you look great, and that means a lot.
Hey, listen, Tom is a guy that doesn't mind throwing the blazer and the blade on, so I'll take that as a compliment.
All right, see you later.
Guys, have a great weekend.
There you go. Let's get into Fantasy Football 5. All right, let's do it. What a fantasy football night last night. My goodness. How many of you almost secured that? Was there anybody out there that had DK Metcalf and CeeDee Lamb on their teams in fantasy this week? If there is, congratulations on all of your success. There's a good chance just if you had DK, you're probably winning your week. Matty, you weren't going against DK in our league this week, were you?
I honestly don't care about this week. I'm in the playoffs. I guess it's playoff positioning or something, but I honestly don't know I would get. I don't know where it goes.
CD had a huge night for me. It's a huge start.
I need a kicker though.
You don't even have a kicker right now?
Well, Justin Tucker's on bye, and
you'll be able to pick up.
So I'm waiting till Sunday to figure out who's playing. Kind of. That's the only move I have to make.
So you'll be okay.
I want all my players to have just miserable weeks.
Just miserable weeks. You don't want to waste a good week
That's
this
the
week.
thing. I don't want to look at this week and also my team puts up like 130 points.
Yeah.
And then we go in playoffs next week. I'll just be like, no. Give me a nice 40-point week. Give me like the worst performance ever going into next week.
If you have any fantasy questions, hit us up right now. In the Duck Dad says, last night ended my fantasy football season. That does suck when it ends on a Thursday, like you're done. But just a monstrous night for fantasy last night. It was unbelievable. You look at some of the numbers these guys put up. Geno freaking Smith, 334 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, did have a pick, but he also had a rushing touchdown. So just a huge night for Geno Smith, who was probably not started in a lot of your leagues. Najigba came away with 7 catches for 62. That's not a bad light. Charbonnet had 60 yards, but also had the tutty, so he's in double digits last night. DK Metcalf with one of the best fantasy nights of the season. 6 catches, 3 of them, though, for touchdowns. One of them a deep bomb of 73 for 134 yards. And then I told you yesterday, if you have the stack of Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, you are probably going to win your league this year. Dak last night, 299 yards, 3 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb had 2 carries for 30 yards, 12 catches for $116 and a touchdown. Hell, even Tony Pollard, who has probably sewered many of your leagues when you took him in the late first round in the draft this year, even he had a touchdown last night. That's the type of fantasy night that it was. Just massive. I'll take some heat on Ferguson. Jake Ferguson. Now, I did say yesterday on the Fantasy Football 5 that Ferguson is kind of touchdown dependent. Last night, he would have been okay-ish on his own, even without the touchdown, 6 catches, 77 yards. But you mix in the touchdown, and it ended up being a pretty big night for him. I was mentioning it earlier to Hus. By the way, did you hear Hus's confession? That takes a man to step up on the lock shop today and say he had DK Metcalf on his bench last night. That's a big boy. That's a big boy stepping up with a confession. Ferguson, 16.7 points last night. I'm going against him in one of my leagues. One of my leagues, CD Lamb went off for 32. So that was nice. That's a full PPR league. So that's really good as well. I'm just trying to see if I had anybody go up. No DK Metcalfs. No DK Metcalfs. So that's nice. I appreciate that one. Jake is just texting me and said, man, I'd love to go on one show without my Wi-Fi cutting out. LOL. Jake, you need better Wi-Fi. That's what you got to get your hands on. If you have any fantasy questions, feel free. Tanis is in there. She's in our league. Lab Rats had Prescott and DK. My goodness. What did he end up with last night? How did he end up with Dak Prescott? No. Where's Lab Rats? Oh yeah, 60 points last night. Ouch. And what's his team this year? They're not good again, right? Like, I'm just looking up here. Yeah,
2-10.
He's 2-10, but he got Dak in a trade.
Did he?
Yeah.
Or did he keep
draft
him?
Dak?
I don't know.
He got 30 from Dak last night and 30 from DK. Woo.
Except, okay, this is funny.
But what else is on this?
He's projected for 93 points after scoring 60, and he still has 7 guys to play.
Oh man, Vinny is the best in this league. Vinny is. I don't even like. We always say like, oh, every fantasy league has that guy. No other fantasy league's got our guy. Vinny is the absolute best. He'll sit there at the draft and have a few bevies, and by few I mean a lot. We had this one year, he was crushing bevies, and he's sitting there, and we're doing the draft, and you get him put your sticker on, but you could also like select your player in the CBS draft room, and he didn't realize it, but he was so drunk he just kept auto picking, and we're like, hey, should we tell Vinny that he's auto picking, or just like, I just let him go. We love him. He's like the mascot of the league. Like it's, but yeah, so he had 2 guys go off for 30, and he's still projected to only have 93 points from the rest of the guys on his team, which is, that's kind of funny. That's kind of funny. But a decent start for me. I'm not projected to win 90 to 82, but there's a long way to go. That 26 points from CD Lamb, though, I basically had to have that. Had to have that one. Tate asks, Dusty, is the lager available in Calgary or only Edmonton? The lager is available in all Sobeys and Safeway liquor stores across the province. So it is available in Calgary. I do believe one of the Calgary locations might have sold out yesterday. But they will get more. I saw somebody on Twitter tweeting at Alley Cat. Yeah, Michael McHale says, can you ship to Pennsylvania? I'm a 6 o'clocker, but at 8 o'clock out east. So he wants the 6 o'clocker lager shipped to Pennsylvania. And Alley Cat was like, well, we could probably help you with that. We're just making some more as we speak. So that would be pretty cool as well. So anyway, the 6 o'clocker lager is blowing up. We appreciate all the support. We'll talk about it a little bit here on the oil stream coming up as well. All right, that's going to do it for the Fantasy Football 5, brought to you by Century Casino on the Fort Road. Join Lieutenant Eric. He's got a great little gang of merry men down there, I like to call them, every Monday and Thursday at Century Casino, Sports Bar and Lounge. Oil Stream is coming up. The Oilers have won 4 in a row. Myself and Tommy Gazzola will be discussing that next, right here on Edmonton Sports Talk.